Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Layla. If you're new here, me too. This is actually my first video. I figured I would do the Booktube Newbie Tag as my first video just because that's kind of how most people kind of start their channel. I wanted to split my introduction into two, so I have two videos. One is my introduction to you as a book person who loves to read, and the other one is my introduction to you as a writer. So I do have my laptop here with the questions, so that's where that like strange lighting is coming from. I do have two cats who you can see the little tail coming up in here. That is Celine. She is my muse, but she's also my little shadow when I'm out here. So she's hanging around. You'll see her pass in and out of the camera. No drama. But yeah, I do have two cats, Celine and Smoke, so they will occasionally make an appearance in a video or two. Just and let them meander by and we'll keep going. So the first question in the Booktube Newbie Tag is really poorly written, by the way. Why did you start this channel? So I'm going to rephrase that and say what reason I started the channel. And the reason I wanted to start my YouTube channel or my YouTube journey is because I really enjoy watching Booktube. I have for years, since I was an undergrad, and I really wanted to join the community, but I never had that like confidence to take the next step or that confidence to sit in front of a camera and talk to it. But the more I thought about it, the more I really wanted to become more involved in the bookish community, especially not just as a reader, but as a writer, and kind of get to experience that and share all of the fun that comes with being in the bookish community, because everybody likes to talk about books here. It's something that we're all passionate about. So yeah, I really wanted to kind of foster that community, both from the writer standpoint and the reader standpoint, just kind of get to know people and kind of step out of my comfort zone a little bit. So that's like a very long list of reasons for starting my channel. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I really want to bring that kind of like author, writer slash reader vibe to YouTube. This channel is kind of going to be a congregation of a lot of my passions. So I obviously love to read. You can see books behind me. I have a ton more. So I really wanted to find a community where I could actually sit down and talk to people about books that I love. My first foray into the whole talking about the books that I love thing has been my blog, which I'll link below if you're really interested in catching up on all of that. But it's one of those things that like I really enjoy doing. I like reviewing books, I like talking about books, and I'm really glad to be starting the channel just to kind of experience that. And I also kind of like journaling and setting up journals for writing and writing all the time. And I'm hoping that this channel will kind of be a mix of that and kind of focus on those things that I'm really passionate about and kind of finding a community to share that passion with. What are you most excited for about the new channel? I think I've kind of said this in my last two answers, but I'm really excited to get to know the community, mainly because we love talking about books. Me and my friends are all readers, but we don't always have the same reading taste. So I kind of want to find those people who kind of share my experiences. And there goes my camera because my cat's trying to jump up. I really want to share those experiences and get to create a community, or join a community rather, that really shares those passions. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know people and kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, because I am naturally introverted. I don't really step out of my comfort zone too much, so this is kind of my way of doing that. Another poorly formed question: why do you love reading? Who doesn't love reading? But the reason I really love reading is because I like to escape from my everyday life into a book. I have a lovely job and I love my job, but there are certain days where like you get super stressed out and there's like everyday things that you have to handle. you know how it is. Everybody wants to take a break. So for me, my break is reading, and I get to explore a world that somebody else created that is so intricate and so immersive, if it's done well, that it kind of takes me out of having to deal with everyday things, especially when the world is in chaos as we know it. This is kind of my way of kind of just relaxing and being able to step out of that and get to experience something that came out of somebody's head. And I think that's so incredible. Like, you can step into a world that somebody just literally came up with all in their head. It's kind of why I like writing too, by the way. What book or series got you into reading? So I started reading really, really young. We didn't always have a ton of books in my house, but I do remember a couple of like the ABC books that we had and how often I used to read them, or like the fairy tales book. I think I actually have a copy of one on my shelves that's very similar to the one that I had when I was growing up. But I really remember falling absolutely in love with reading when I was in elementary school. And we would go to the library in our school, and I would always check out the same book series all the time. And that was the Boxcar Children and the Magic Treehouse series. I can't remember the author of the Boxcar Children right now, so I'll put it in here somewhere. But Mary Pope Osborne wrote the Magic Treehouse series, which I actually just reread the first 4 of back in March, because I adore them so much, and I found them at the bookstore and was like, why not buy this box set of 4? And I just did the same thing with the Boxcar Children, so you'll probably see me read those in the future. But they were some of the first books that I really remember going back to constantly. Like, I would check them out multiple times throughout my elementary school years. And of course that morphed into like other books when I was in middle school and high school, but that's really where I started my love for reading. Was quite young in elementary school, going to the library, which, yay libraries, they're awesome. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I don't know. That's a really good question. I feel like I would probably ask them how they do this on a regular basis, because the nerves in my stomach when I first started were kind of like super high, but also kind of managing to balance this with doing your everyday kind of work. And I only say that because there are times where like I need to take a break or a hiatus from my blog because I end up getting swamped with other things and I just feel so drained. So like I have my own ways of coping, but kind of seeing what other people do to kind of adjust for that would be really interesting. Also, how to talk to people, how to make friends, because like I said, I'm an introvert and making friends is scary for me. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think it's just sitting down and actually doing it is going to be my biggest challenge, because like I've mentioned a couple of times in this video, I am an introvert at heart. So putting yourself out into a public sphere is kind of terrifying to me. Just because it is a new experience and you're kind of opening yourself up to a lot of people that you may not have interacted with, which is what I'm most excited for, but also what I'm most terrified for. But I think it'll be a really fun experience, and I can't wait to get to know all of you. When did you start reading? Since I could hold a book, it's kind of like asking me when I started writing. I'm not really sure. I feel like reading was such an ingrained part of me growing up. I would always like see my grandmother and my great grandmother holding books at night, like they would read right before bed. And of course they used to read those Harlequin romance novels right before bed. So, you know, my love for romance started really early, despite never reading them until I was a little bit older. But I think that's kind of where it started, is seeing the people in my life really enjoy reading. And then I found the like books that really called to me when I was in elementary school and kind of just kept rereading them. And then as I got older, I expanded everything from that. Where do you read? This is really bad. My husband really doesn't like this, but I read mostly from my bed. I don't really have a reading chair that I have set up in my room. Where most of my library is actually my history section of my collection, and my literature, which is right back here. But I don't often have anywhere to sit down and do it, so that's kind of where I read the most. What kind of books do you like to read? I read a lot of different genres. Mostly I read romance or fantasy romance and fantasy and YA fantasy. That's kind of like where most of my reading comes from, but I do enjoy reading like manga, graphic novels, some poetry. I obviously have a ton of literature, so sometimes I'll delve into that. And then I also have a lot of history books that I'm trying to start picking up a little bit more because they are kind of where part of my passion lies. I did major in history when I was an undergrad, so I kind of want to get back into reading it. So what does your book collection look like? Because of the way that my books are set up, they're a little bit more scattered than most people who have their bookshelves all in one room. Mine are actually spread throughout 2 rooms, and they're actually kind of far away from each other. So I can't really get a full shot of my collection. I might post a couple of pictures at the end of this just so you can kind of see a little bit of it. But maybe one day I will actually go through the whole collection. But there's a ton of them because I think I have somewhere close to 800 books. Might be more, might be less. The last time I checked, I was getting very, very close to logging 600, and I didn't actually get to most of my bookshelves. So there's a lot. But I actually started my collection when I was in high school, I should say. So from about 10 years ago to today is kind of how I've grown my collection. I love reading, and I love picking up more books and adding to my collection, especially if they are books that I know I'm gonna enjoy once I get to them. But yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video and you stick around and want to hang out with me and talk about books, because that's why I'm here. And I'm also here, obviously, to talk about writing and journaling and all of the crazy things that I love doing. And I can't wait to share that with you. Inshallah, here's hoping this journey goes well and you all kind of get to know me a little bit better, and I get to know you, and we get to talk about our favorite things, which who doesn't love doing that? So I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye!